So please, Mr. KOHUT, first you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Arba Kokalari and her great team for an amazing cooperation. We showed that the European classical motto, stronger together, is really working. I would like to thank also all the members of the European Parliament who voted first for our report and then the final decisions during the last session in Strasbourg. When a member state exposes its citizens to violence, the protection must be guaranteed by the European Union. Gender-based violence is today's biggest unresolved daily problem in Europe. 1 in 3 women in the EU experience physical and/or sexual violence, overall around 62 million women. Violence affects every person and every family in Europe. Europeans have a right to expect that institutions and their representatives will do their best to ensure the proper protection against violence. The Istanbul Convention is recognized as the most effective tool for combating gender-based violence due to imposing concrete obligations on the signatories. The Convention is not about the ideology. The document is about providing an efficient protection for women. Therefore, as a co-rapporteurs, Arba and me, we have put a strong pressure in order to finalize the process of the ratification as soon as possible. Overwhelming majority in the European Parliament supported our report and the decisions which we're working on. More than 460 MEPs have supported the accession to the Istanbul Convention. The Council shall treat this result as a decisive signal coming directly from representatives of the European people. The EU's anti-violence awakening is happening right before our eyes. What is significant, the signal from the European Parliament has already caused a positive pro-women declarations. Last week, Prime Minister Ingrida Šimonytė announced that she wanted a ratification by Lithuania. In addition, President Petr Pavel sees no reason why the Czech Republic should not ratify the Istanbul Convention. I would like to wish the same courage to the conservative European governments, particularly to the Polish Prime Minister, who has been bragging that women's life is one of the highest priority for his government. Mr. Morawiecki, do not be a hypocrite. If you truly care about women, your representative shall vote for the Istanbul Convention. This is a matter of simply human sensitivity. The Russians are torturing, raping and killing women in Ukraine. And as a consequence, these inhuman and barbaric attacks caused women leaving their homes in Ukraine. The EU must protect every Ukrainian refugee, especially in the neighboring countries such as Hungary and Slovakia, which have not ratified the convention, and they must do it as soon as possible. Anti-violence umbrella shall be open at the EU-wide level. It will allow the convention standard will be binding in particular areas such as judicial cooperation in criminal matters, asylum and public administration. In practice, we will ensure more sufficient criminal procedures, but also training for people who are working in the judicial system. The matter of time demands some extraordinary measures and determination. While Ukraine, during a wartime, was able to sign the convention, authoritarian Turkey decided to withdraw. Right-wing populists must ask themselves which directions they are going to follow. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward for your questions. In the end, I would also like to thank the Swedish presidency for the support and all the efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. KOHUT. Are there any questions in the room? Yes.
Hi, I'm Jovita Kiewnik from Polish office of Deutsche Welle, and I would like to ask whether you already have any information on when Council can decide whether to ratify Istanbul Convention. And the second question, do you expect some countries to be against it? And if so, which countries? Thank you.
Well, the information that we have in forehand right now is that the Council expect to ratify the Convention about 1st of June, or that week with 1st of June. We don't know exactly, so you have to ask them, but that's the information that we had, so it's very close. What we know is that last time when they had the ratification vote, before we had our ratification vote, was that it was a very good qualified majority that voted in favor of the ratification. There were some countries against, but we also could see some movement in current countries that haven't still ratified the convention, that they are more open to discuss it. So we expect that the ratification also will be positive on the 1st of June week.
Regarding the second question, I would like to answer that, you can easily check the list of the votes in the European Parliament. You can check in which countries these people are in the governments. So, we are talking also about the Law and Justice, Prawo i Sprawiedliwość party from Poland, which is a bad signal also for the potential third win in their elections in Poland, because then there will be a question about the withdrawal of the convention probably in Poland, as we know already, because the Prime Minister Morawiecki asked the Constitutional Tribunal about the legal aspects of the Istanbul Convention in Poland. And regarding the first question, I'm sure that Swedish presidency will rock on.
Thank you both. Yes, a question there.
Maciej Zakowski, Radio Talk FM and News 24 Television. If you don't know, I will ask the question in Polish because it helps me a lot in my work later on. Pytanie jest o Państwa nadzieję, w jakim stopniu ta decyzja rzeczywiście poza presją polityczną spowoduje, że wszystkie państwa Unii Europejskiej ratyfikują konwencję. Pan poseł Łukasz KOHUT mówił, że są dobre sygnały z Litwy i z Czech, ale czy jest nadzieja, żeby właśnie na przykład w takim państwie jak Węgry również ze względu na decyzję Rady ta konwencja była przyjęta? I drugie jest związane z tym pytanie, jaka jest konsekwencja, czy na przykład faktu, że Unia Europejska ratyfikuje konwencję, czy wtedy na przykład właśnie polski rząd, wspomniany też, właściwie będzie miał co najmniej utrudnione działania na rzecz wycofania się z konwencji stambulskiej.
Thank you. Whichever one of you wishes.
Okay, as you mentioned already, Lithuania and Czech Republic. Okay. In Polish? You want in Polish? Okay. No tak jak pan redaktor powiedział, przede wszystkim już są sygnały, bo i na Litwie i w Czechach ta dyskusja się rozpoczyna i też europosłowie, którzy tutaj występowali podczas tej debaty, mówili o tym właśnie, zwłaszcza z Republiki Czeskiej, że najwyższy czas, żeby właśnie w Czechach konwencja stambulska zaczęła obowiązywać, więc ja widzę pozytywne sygnały i myślę, że ta polityczna presja tutaj z Parlamentu Europejskiego, ona jest może niedoceniana z perspektywy polskiej, ale w Europie to działa po prostu i myślę, że w Polsce też będzie kiedyś działać. Mam nadzieję, że już po najbliższych wyborach parlamentarnych. Jeśli chodzi o Węgry, tutaj sytuacja jest bardziej skomplikowana jak zwykle, ale też myślę, że jest kwestia po prostu zmiany władzy na Węgrzech, co myślę, że prędzej czy później stanie i Węgry także przystąpią do konwencji stambulskiej.
Yes, if I can add on that. In our work we have both tried to urge both that the EU itself need to ratify the Istanbul Convention, but also that all member states, also the remaining member states, the 6 remaining member states should ratify the Istanbul Convention in their national law. What happens now is that the EU ratification will also put a very hard pressure on those remaining member states, because the ratification is applicable to those areas where EU has competence, which also will be part of, the EU is also part of, is built up by the member states. So the pressure will be now both from Grevio, so that the European Union in all of our EU competence, which includes legal competence, the police cooperation, anti-discrimination cooperation, gender equality issues, the EU institutions itself, will indirectly also spill over to those member states. And the EU Commission, which now will implement the Istanbul Convention, will also monitor all member states and also make sure that they collect data about the situation on gender-based violence in all member states. So even if those countries have not yet ratified the Istanbul Convention, they will need to work with it partly because they're part of the European Union and the EU laws where the Istanbul Convention is now applicable, will be applicable. So, and I think and I hope in the long term it will be even harder for them to resist because we cannot continue to have a European Union where violence against women is not taken seriously. These are serious crimes. This is what it's all about. It's not any myths or something else. It's about maintaining the basic fundamental freedoms and the rights of all of our citizens, that they can, when they are abused or being killed or raped, that the police forces do their job in all member states.
Regarding the second questions about the other countries and if it will be easy to withdraw the convention now, well, from my perspective, it's also good for the next perspective for the countries which are applying for being a member of the European Parliament, because there will be a huge political pressure also to ratify the Istanbul Convention for countries like North Macedonia or all the others from Balkans who are trying to be a member of the European Parliament. Ukraine showed the way.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? No, I don't see any online either, so thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.